DJ Metal Craig of Craig's Metal Storm here, and I have the members of diesomnia with me today. Hopefully, I have the band name right. And would you guys like to introduce yourselves and what positions you do in the band?
Hi, I'm Chad Cochran. I'm vocals.
I'm Chris Yake, guitar.
Sean O'Brien, guitar.
Timmy Hakawat, bass.
And who's not with you today from the band lineup?
Kerry Alltop, our drummer, was not available for the meeting today.
Would you guys mind going back in the history of diesomnia and how the band all got started?
Gosh, yeah, long time ago. So, pre-pandemic, all of us were in other bands. Sean and I were in the same band, and then Chris joined us in a group called Devium years ago, and that ended up folding up shop, and we ended up blending several other groups together that kind of try and make a super group, and it just fell into place, man. It worked. Well, everybody but Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. We came up with we were originally called a different name.
Mm-hmm.
That we can't mention due to legal injunction.
Yeah, we actually got a cease and desist for our old name, and then that's when we had to hit the books again and start looking for another name. That's when we started looking into Latin and stuff, and diesomnia came around.
Yeah. So I think it was 2018
when we had to rename ourselves. Yeah,
diesomnia.
But the lineup, as it is, solidified in 2017.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. That's awesome. You guys have such a solid lineup. As a matter of fact, before we get into the next question, which is a good one, I want to let you guys know, as a fact, I'm a vocalist myself, so I know how it feels, Chad, to do vocals.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Old
talking about.
DSI for me. I grew up in the DSI Bolt or Malevolent Creation era of music.
Nice,
I always
man.
listen to the newer stuff too. And so you guys also know, while we got you on the record, your new album for diesomnia is killer and awesome. I jammed it before the interview.
Sweet. Thanks, man. Thank you.
Man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. This next one's a real good one. How did you guys come up with the band name diesomnia?
Well, it's by necessity.
Well, yeah. So we kind of wanted to create kind of a, I don't know, life is kind of like a nightmare to me, and so we translated nightmare through Latin, and it was actually 2 words, which was diesomnia when you pronounce it. So it's still spelled D-I-E somnia, and we just put it together as one word and called it diesomnia, and kind of gave it the meaning of like a nightmare type of, people live in a dream most of the time, and the reality is a nightmare to me. That was my contribution to the name.
And we're a bunch of living nightmares anyway.
Yeah.
Right on. Something happened here, guys. We've got the audio, like the video is all screwy right now. It's got a plant background in the background on it.
Oh, okay. Is it ours?
Yeah, I think
Everything should be good. It's showing still on my side, but we'll just do the best we can on everything.
Okay.
Who came up with the diesomnia band logo?
The one that's been circulating now, that was me. I actually was a graphic designer a few years back and still use all those programs and things. So when we need immediate graphics like that, I usually end up handling it.
Cool.
Anymore in the future, though, as time doesn't allow, we're going to be hiring things out because I just don't have the time like I used to.
That's neat. I didn't know one of you guys was a graphics designer, because I'm also looking for someone to do some album art for my band when we get going.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there's several out there. I know there's a few websites where you can hire graphic designers and stuff now that I've been kind of checking out too, just when I didn't have time to do things.
What are some of diesomnia's musical influences?
You guys want to start with it?
Well,
I know I
how
got
much
20.
time we got?
Yeah. Been
There's a
listening,
lot.
been listening to metal a long time.
Anywhere from Led Zeppelin to fucking Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah. Yeah, all kinds
Take
of
your
stuff
pick.
in between, man. More recent bands I think that has had influence on us, for me anyways. I'm real big into Fit for an Autopsy anymore. And like old school metal influence for me is Megadeth, still my favorite. I don't know how much that comes through, I guess, in some of the thrashier riffs or whatever, but
Yeah.
and then we've got
And some of the bands we've played with in the past, the Black Dahlia Murder,
Yeah.
Whitechapel,
Whitechapel's a
Chelsea
good one.
Grin,
Yeah.
Nile, Soulfly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
all those bands are big influences on us.
Yep, definitely. Die Artist Murder is a big one for me. I've been following them for a while now. And the first group that ever got me really into metal, period, was Rammstein. And that's mid 90s. That's old days.
Right on. Just so you guys know, I actually am a fan of the Black Dahlia Murder. I feel bad Trevor's gone. I met him twice
Yeah.
in person.
Nice.
Oh yeah, we were
Yeah.
fortunate, man. We got to share the stage, but
Yeah.
but we were on the same stage as him in Dayton, Ohio. He was out walking in the crowd, exceptionally cool. I hate it,
Yeah,
man.
that was a heck of a show, man.
Yeah, he
They
was
were
awesome.
really on that night.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they killed it, of course. Yeah,
Another good member that went a while ago from cancer, Brett Hoffman, Benevolent Creation.
Yep.
That was another good band right there.
yeah.
Yeah, we unfortunately lost some legends, man.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we lost some good musicians in the last while. The next one that we're going to get into is what are diesomnia's immediate music career goals?
Right now, just to start getting back to kind of a steady live show schedule. So, with the whole pandemic, so we stopped actually doing live shows just briefly before the pandemic hit, to do a little bit of writing and recording. And we just last week did our first show back since then. Like it was kind of an extended time off, so we're just ready to get a little bit more out there on the stage. So probably some regional touring in our near future, and then beyond that, maybe get really busy next summer with the summer festival schedule.
Yeah, 7 summer festivals is definitely on the goal list for next summer.
Yeah,
for sure.
Before we get into the next one, if you guys are cool with it, I'd like to say this. I hope you guys eventually, for a show, come up to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Heck yeah,
I'd
man.
love to.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. I've
That's
only been to Canada once, and that was Toronto, and that was a few years back. I have not been able to get back for a while.
If you guys do come back, I'll see what I can do about talking to my promoter about getting you guys a show here in Winnipeg when you're back in Canada next time.
That would be
That'd be
fantastic, man. That'd be
awesome.
great. Yeah, I'd love to get back up there for sure.
I'm personally friends with the promoter here in my town. I already got my tickets secured to the Black Dahlia Murder show here in Winnipeg, which is sold out.
yeah.
Nice,
nice.
good,
Killer
man.
show, too,
Fantastic. Good for them too.
Yeah, I want to see him with the new vocalist. Haven't got to see him live yet.
Yeah. I haven't seen them since.
Actually,
since
aren't they in Ohio like this weekend or next?
Are they?
They're somewhere nearby right
Cleveland?
now.
It's usually Cleveland if they. Yeah.
If you're cool with talking about it, can I get you guys to talk about how I came up with the album title for Pray for the Flood?
Yeah. Well, originally it wasn't going to be called that. It was going to be a title of one of the other songs, and then we ended up liking the track "Pray for the Flood" more. And it was renamed something else. We had a lot of changes while things were being mixed and mastered, and names were changing. And one of the lyrics in the "Pray for the Flood" song was "Pray for the Flood," and we liked the hook on it, and it's kind of a misanthropic song, so it ended up accurately describing, I would say, the rest of the song. So that one ended up in the forefront.
Right on. This next one is a real good one. I don't know if it pertains to the same guy who did the diesomnia band logo. How did you guys and who did you guys use for the album art for Pray for the Flood?
Yeah.
I
so
did it.
Chad did the
Yeah.
artwork. It was inspired by a painting his wife did, actually.
Yeah, actually, and that's something my wife paints and put something together for us to hang in the practice space, and it's awesome. It looks like somebody blew their brains out all over it. I don't know how she pulled it off. Is it over
got
there?
like a real 3D
Yeah, it
effect
turned
to
out
it.
cool.
Light to shine on it.
Yeah, so we were talking
Yeah.
about different ideas for artwork, and I just kept thinking about the painting and said, why don't we just use that? We've already got artwork right here that I really
Yeah.
like. So
Yeah.
that ended up being kind of what.
Yeah, I don't know if you can make it out or not very well, but she painted this for us, and it's been hanging in our studio ever since. So I got into Adobe Illustrator, and then that's where our name bleeding all over the skull came from. Was inspired or inspired. Geez,
Inspired.
I can't. Yeah,
It was
inspired. I'll make
inspired by
inspired.
this painting
Yeah.
right here.
yeah, by this painter. But yeah, that's where the idea came from. My wife's a painter, and that's when I got in Adobe products, and then kicked out something similar, and then that became the album art.
Cool. Just so you guys know, I thought the album artwork was absolutely sick and intense and awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
This next
And
one's
so
gonna get you
we're not
guys
actually
thinking.
sponsored by Adobe. We
Yeah.
might have to cut that out.
Pardon me there. I accidentally talked a little bit over you guys while you were talking there.
It's all good, man.
We'll get everything done though. It's coming along nicely. You guys are doing great, and I want to say thank you very much, for your time in this interview.
No, thank you,
Yeah,
man.
no,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for having
Yeah,
us.
this is
Thanks
great.
for having us.
Yeah.
This next one is a real good one. Was Pray for the Flood a conceptual album, as in a concept album?
What was the concept, Sean?
Yeah. I think my shorter answer was, the world is fucked. But yeah, so it kind of is a concept. I think it was unintentional on Chad's part. There was a theme kind of going through just, with, like we said, we started writing right before the pandemic. Then the pandemic kind of amplified some things as far as, a lot of social issues and things that's kind of coming to light. So it's definitely inspired by real life, and there's a theme there because it's all drawn from feelings and experiences. It's based on basically how the world is now and how we view it versus how others do. Maybe not literal all the time, but yeah, so there's kind of a theme that way, but it wasn't intended to be.
It just kept
it kind of fell into place. It wasn't planned out in the beginning when we started writing and putting lyrics and things together, and as I started writing the words, they ended up kind of having all working cohesively together, and that song was the one that tied them together the best. Just kind of this the shit state of everything right now. Yeah.
Awesome. Just so you guys know, I'm going to get you guys to touch on two of my favorite songs off the album, if you're cool with it.
Yeah, for sure.
What are the concepts behind the songs Blood Red Sorrow and Cure for Weakness?
Okay. Well, I guess I pretty much I take lyric help when it comes, but it's usually just me. As far as musically, I will have to ask them, but lyrically, Blood Red Sorrow, my brother and I years ago had a knockdown drag out fight, and I accidentally hurt him during that, and I had never felt so low in my life. And the blood red came because he actually got cut, and we ended up hashing it out afterwards and being good. But we can't live this way no more, man. And that's where the lyrics came from for that. And we were good ever since after that, actually. And I lost him in 2018. But then A Cure for Weakness, lyrically for me, that was just, I'm so tired of seeing people around that can't do anything for themselves and always need bailed out or need that just can't live even, and it just let them starve. It's kind of the way I looked at it, man. It's dark, it's brooding, but it was just a moment of pissed off when I sat down to write.
It's the ones who choose.
The ones who choose, and if you read the lyrics, it's who willfully let the wolves in to cause trouble. It's those people that are willfully weak that I can't stand it anymore. And that's where the lyrics came from. Musically,
musically, we just pretty much once we figure out what the words mean, kind of controls our emotion on how we do the music.
Yeah.
It's kind of how we hone it in. Usually the music is before the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Usually
then,
a finished song is done, and then I sit down and listen to it a million times and start putting
when he
patterns
brings
to
the
it.
lyrics in, then that usually is how we fine tune the music from there. Yeah, so we usually have the general structure all together. Then when he puts the lyrics in, it kind of gets refined from there.
Yeah, I'm usually the last piece. These songs usually around 90%, 80% before lyrics get done.
It's funny. Just recently, it's taken us 2 years to polish them.
It's funny you picked those two songs though, because that was kind of the turning point, writing wise for us. So
yeah,
the video that we have out right now, the lyric video for No Truth, that was the first song or first riff I wrote for this band. And then we were kind of trying to find our way. It was making the transition from 6-string to 7 strings, and that was like one of the first things. Cure for Weakness was actually the second, and then Blood Red was where it kind of all came together. That was the third one, and when we got that one, it was like, yeah, this is the direction we're heading. This is what we want to do musically. So it's funny you picked those. That was just as we were kind of finding our stride.
Yeah,
and then it got more brutal from there.
Yep, good.
Also, guys, so you know that Blood Red Soda song, I can relate to a bit because me and my brother had a falling out, but it was drug and alcohol related.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of that. My brother was a terrible alcoholic, and that's why I lost him. Yeah, back in 2018. Yeah. So yeah. I'm sorry, man. It sucks. I know exactly what you went through, man. It sucks.
I know how it feels to have alcoholism and addiction. I'm an alcoholic and addict myself, but I've recovered. I've got 12 years. I've been clean for now.
Hell yeah,
fantastic, man.
That's great.
Absolutely awesome.
I gave it up December 12th, 2010. It was so bad for me. I was doing 326 to Jack Daniels a night near the end of my drinking career.
Wow.
I'm lucky to be alive.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Glad you're still around, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's fantastic. Some people can't walk away.
Yeah.
I understand that there. This next one, though, is a really good one. What are some of your favorite moments when in the studio?
When we passed it off to the guy who did the mixing and
Eric Rachel. Basically we had a lot of fun through the recording process. It was an extended process this time around. Usually we try to be a little bit more efficient, but as we were starting drum tracking is when everything started shutting down. Everybody started talking about COVID, and we kind of took our time, partly because of that, and also because, like I said, we were still kind of sorting out what we were doing. Most of the songs were written, but we wanted to go back and hone things a little bit. So for me, anyways, some of the fun was really when we got through, like at first finding our way through the process with the drum tracking was a bit of a struggle. It was like once we got through that, man, everything started getting a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more fun.
I mean, we had a piece of equipment.
It was really technical stuff. It had nothing to do with the playing or anything like that.
I forget there was a piece of equipment we had to replace mid-stride.
We had some technical difficulties. So once we broke through that, and everything kind of come together and started sounding good. We actually lost the song during the process of recovering for those technical difficulties. There was a song that did not make the album due to the recovery. So there was like a whole thing that wasn't recorded.
Yeah, I don't know if we've said this either, but we recorded it ourselves. In our own studio.
Yeah, the actual tracking we did.
Yeah. But then the big, what they were alluding to before was when we passed it off to Eric Rachel, we'd been kind of messing around with it for a while, and it kind of gotten to the point where we were stalling out just a little bit as far as motivation goes. It had been grinding on for a minute. And when we got our first test mix back from Eric Rachel, that was really fun for us, like to hear it all come together and what it could sound like. And it definitely kind of brought the mood back. Not that it was bad, but it definitely lit a fire. We were really ready to get it finished and get it out there.
After as long as that got drawn out with the pandemic and job changes.
He was somebody I'd wanted to work with for a while. Found him, like, I'm a big God Forbid fan. Chad is too.
Absolutely.
And so I knew of him through them. And always kind of had him on the list of, people to work with. Glad we did. Love what he did with the mixes. And then while we're talking about it, we had Alan from West Side Music do the mastering. That was another big thing too. When we got the actual finished product sounding as good as it does, really happy with the results and with the work those guys put in on our project. It took a lot of care, a lot of passion in it.
It made what we did seem worth spending all that time doing it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They cleaned it all up for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys know with this next one, it's in a follow-up to the previous question, but the difference for this one is, what are some of your favorite moments when on tour?
Gosh, well, for this band,
we have done minimal.
Yeah.
So it was more of a local or regional, I guess, shows before the pandemic. Like I said, we've been down since basically late 2019, beginning of 2020. So we've only been back just last weekend on the stage for the first time.
No, long time.
So as far as tour moments though, like with this band, I guess my favorite was the Burgers of the Night show with Black Dahlia, man, had a blast. I think we played pretty well. It was just a lot of fun, man. Great show, fun to be a part of, but I mean, so for me personally, the Whitechapel show was not as fun. There was some, was basically we'll call it security issues, a little bit of a hassle and a little falling out.
We were all standing on stage. Where's Sean? He's fighting with security out back. They won't let him in.
They were trying to keep me out of the venue.
It's time for us to play.
I literally had enough time to put my guitar on and hit the first chord. I didn't even get to check my tuning. Luckily these guys had it taken care of for me. It was crazy. I had a little bit of security hassle and a little bit of a run in. And,
he's outside trying to get in and hears us sound checking. I mean, it sucked.
But it's a funny moment and a favorite moment now, but in that moment I was not excited.
Yeah, I would say for me, my favorite moments of touring, no matter when it is the crowd reaction back to us. The love we get back is my favorite part, just because
that's why we do it.
We're not looking like tools standing up there.
Right? Yeah.
Well, most of us are.
Yeah. And the night we got to play with Black Dahlia Murder was a fantastic night. That crowd was awesome in Dayton, Ohio that night. They were all ready for Black Dahlia, and we got to get the place warmed up for them, and we got a good reception that night. It was a lot of fun. It was a great night.
And that performance is on our YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, yes it is.
Soulfly Nile was a big one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Slaughter to Prevail.
Yeah.
There's been some fun times.
That was with
it's Slaughter to Prevail. Nobody really knew who they were yet. All I knew was these guys are from Russia over here, and it was and they, of course they were amazing. Great. Yeah, now they're exploding, which they should be. Yeah, they're great. Yeah, but just like Chris said, a lot of times when you get out there and you got a full room and they're really into what you're doing, it energizes you beyond any drug or alcohol buzz you could ever have. Man, it's amazing. Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys, that's awesome what you just shared there. And also, when you mentioned the Black Dahlia Murder game, I thought of another band you guys might not or may know of. Do you know a black metal band called Black Funeral from the 90s?
Black Funeral? No.
I've heard of them.
Yeah,
I can't say
I know the name, but I'm not familiar with the music.
Vampires Throne of the Beast was one of their albums. I actually have a mid-range scream a bit like him.
Yeah, definitely black metal. Yeah, cool.
I change up from death to black to grind. Like I try and mix in different genres with myself. And if I'm lucky, when I'm in really warmed up form, I can hit highs like King Diamond.
Nice, man. Cool.
Yeah. With Pray for the Blood being 6 tracks in total, how has the album been perceived this far for reviews?
Actually, we have not released it, and we haven't gotten it out to anybody just yet for the reviews. That process is actually
Currently
getting
underway.
Underway. Yeah.
it's getting
June.
started right now. We've got PR
But the
help
album release,
working on that right now.
yeah, the whole album will be released on June 16th.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've got that in the hands of Clawhammer
Yeah.
PR.
Yeah, they've been exceptional.
They're handling that, so that they're kind of controlling when all that's going to start for us, or advising us on it at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's more to come for that. So far, the folks that have heard it, it's been a very positive reaction. Mostly like close friends, former bandmates and things like that. We've kind of let check it out, and it's been a positive response. We're really looking forward to the world hearing it.
Yeah.
Seeing how that goes.
Yeah. Especially since
get the real reactions of people who don't know us.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
but
don't know.
No Truth is out now, of course, on with the lyric video, and the reception to that's been good. That's the one we've been able to put out there now.
The single release will be for No Truth will be available on all the streaming platforms on May 5th.
Yeah, May 5th. That one, No Truth, will drop.
So, and they can go to our Facebook. Anybody can go to our Facebook and pre-save it to their Spotify list if they're interested. It's pinned to the top of our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Or you can get to all of that stuff from our website, diesomnia.com also.
Yep.
Cool. I'll definitely check out the diesomnia.com website when I get off the interview with you guys.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Good deal.
Also, before we hop into the next question, I wanted to let you guys know that I'm a fan of you guys since I heard the album. For me, the album has sludge/doom influences /death influences vocally on it, but for the bass lines, and this is what's going to shock you guys and everything, I found some jazz infused playing on your bass guitar riffs.
I ain't a fan of jazz, but I can't say I consciously did anything like that. I just play what feels right. Little mix with the guitarist and with the drummer back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how those bass lines come together, because we, a lot of bands, the guitar players try to dictate what the bass player does, but we don't do that. We want the bass player to actually play like a bass player, not like how we would do it as guitar players. And it's always fun for me to hear what he comes up with.
Yeah, we just show him what notes we're playing and what the phrases are, and then he puts it all together himself.
And I gotta commend Tony too, because when he joined us back in 2017, he was the last one to join us for this lineup, and we were into recording our single at the time from the 2017 single. And
I think he had 2 weeks before he had to lay his
and
tracks.
he had to write and record in 2 weeks, and he nailed it.
So it was kind of trial by fire. He passed. He's still with us.
That song is Life of Stone. It's currently on Spotify right now.
Yep.
If you want to check that out.
And all the MP3 distributors
all
and stuff.
The streaming services.
Yeah, and you can tell when you listen to that one, you can hear Diesomnia becoming what it is, but there was still some little bit of leftover influences from our old bands when we first formed together. And as Pray for the Flood comes out, you'll hear this is Diesomnia now. Yeah. That was our first.
Yeah, that song that's out there, the Life of Stone, was the basic idea I started was supposed to be for the next album for our old band, and I actually wrote it on a 6-string and then kind of transposed for 7 after the fact and adjusted it. So it was kind of a segue, is how I look at it. It was it was a sign of things to come, but definitely got a little more brutal.
Yeah.
From there.
That is awesome. So you guys know, I used to play bass on top of vocals, but it was too hard to do the two at the same time. So I had to step down. I have a 5-string bass here that I used to use.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
See it behind you?
Yeah, I don't
can't
know
play
how
and
people.
sing.
I don't know how people do that. We were just talking about that. Talking about Silosis.
Oh, man.
One of our favorite bands. I think everybody in the band actually likes those guys quite a bit. And just how unbelievable Josh Middleton is, doing the vocals that he does with the guitar playing that he does.
Plays leads while singing.
Unreal.
Yeah. That's made me want to quit.
Yeah.
When I saw that
Yeah.
guy.
If I tried to sing a backup while playing my guitar parts, I'd probably just fall down.
Yeah, I can handle backups, but there's no way I could do full-time vocals while playing.
I don't know
Actually,
how
he
to-
does handle backup.
Yeah, Tony does play. Tony's the one in the band that does play and sing, and I don't know how you do it. Man. I don't.
That's because he's only got to do it in short spurts.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What are some of the places you have toured?
Oh man.
Gosh.
Individually, we've been
All
like
over.
all over, like
Rochester.
yeah, New York, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio.
Yeah.
Basically regional, kind of more east than west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully this summer we're able to get south down around Florida, Tampa area.
Yeah, we
That's
haven't
my
really
goal.
gone beyond the regional thing previously, but we are making plans now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. For just our timing was so bad when we got going. We were just getting into these shows. We were playing Dayton, Ohio, pretty good. That's our home base. And then we started looking around, and the pandemic kicked us right in the nuts, and that was the end of it. And we were just getting going too.
Yeah.
That timing was terrible. Yeah.
That sucks about the pandemic, just screwing everything up for you guys. But there is still hope now that things are starting to get back rolling again with the music industry and the scene in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. Starting to see nice tours coming together.
Lots of good shows back out there,
Absolutely.
I'm just glad we're back to it.
Yes.
Yes.
We never stopped playing. We were still getting together and practicing and things, but it's nice to get out of the rehearsal space and actually hit the stage.
Yes. Yep. Long overdue.
This next one might get you guys laughing a bit, but it might be answerable too. Do you guys have any songs based around horror theme concepts in your music?
Like, I'm a big horror movie fan and all those things, but as far as at least I can speak lyrically, most of my stuff comes from experience.
Real life is the
real life more
scariest
so.
movie of
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. So
True.
yeah, actually, it is kind of all horror influence, but no
Yeah.
specific movie.
Yeah, just life in general. But most of my lyrics come from experiences or just things I'm feeling at the time. Yeah.
Right on. Just so you guys know, as a lyricist myself, I write basically the old gore-induced theme, horror style stuff from the 80s, death metal wise lyrically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cannibal Corpse style.
Yeah.
Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, Incantation, Malevolent Creation, that kind of stuff. And then I branch out into stuff that's a little more mellow, like Theory of a Dead Man. I bring in some jazz influences listening wise, blues. I'm all over the spectrum. One of my favorite heavy metal bands, two of them actually, are King Diamond, Judas Priest, and Iron Maiden.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, great.
I love me some Priest.
legendary. Yeah.
Mhm.
For me, it'd be out of those, definitely Priest and Iron Maiden. I listened to a lot when I was younger. Not as much now. Actually, I do listen to Priest again. I like some of the recent things they've done.
Yeah, I think I was the only one that got
Rising from
into
Ruin.
the heavy music very late, and a lot of those bands had done their thing already. I think the Metallica Black album had just hit as I started listening to metal.
Yeah.
I was late.
As you
I was
can
real
tell,
late.
he's a little younger
Yeah.
of the band members, like he's talking about the Metallica Black album
Yeah.
when he was a kid, like
Yeah.
it was the first Metallica, like it was before
Oh,
that. So
that was the album that came
my
out.
childhood was when Metallica was kind of really taking over, like it was before they I won't say they peaked, but before the Black album.
What's crazy that I was listening to music then, but it wasn't metal and stuff. I was actually listening to like classics, more of the I was taking piano as a kid and stuff. So it was like, Mozart, Chopin, all those things is what I was listening to. And then that migrated to metal. Yeah, they don't care for it, but too goddamn bad. But anyway,
he was really into carnival music for a while.
Yeah.
Carnival music, yeah.
But that transition to metal, because the complications of the guitar and things that I appreciated when I started listening. I wanted that aggressive music, and that's where it led me to.
Right on, you guys. And just so you guys know, before we get into the next question, we're going to go on a short little break from the interview and play a song on the airways by you guys, and then we'll get back into the questions afterwards. So give me 5 seconds here, and then we'll get back into the questions.
Great.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right, we're back with the guys from Diesomnia, and we're going to get into the next question of the interview, which is the one that I'm going to ask is, what are some of your favorite musicians that influenced your playing abilities?
We'll start that one. There's so many.
James Hetfield for me. I mean, he really is what got me inspired. And then I found Slayer. So then Jeff Hanneman and Kerry King kind of meshed with my Hetfield influence, and I don't know, that's kind of what got me into my thrash and riffs, really, is those two influences.
What got me playing was Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, and Jimi Hendrix kind of made me want to learn how to play. But as far as metal specifically, I mentioned Megadeth earlier, so Dave and Marty Freeman were really big for me thrash wise. Of course, I loved the early stuff from Metallica as well. So kind of the Bay Area thrash thing is one of those things most of us have in common. Chad being later, he wasn't into the thrash thing as much, but he comes in where we all kind of agree with the death thing. But as far as your influences for playing, what got you started, Tony?
I mean, it was old school thrash that got me into it initially, but Alex Webster from metal wise is probably my biggest influence.
Gosh,
Yeah,
I'm trying to think
he's
vocally.
crazy.
Vocally, I'd say one of the ones I remember, at least from watching things change. When we used to do in our old band a lot of clean singing and screaming, and I know Dez, Devil Driver, seemed to have a pretty big influence on your vocals.
Absolutely.
earlier on.
Early Coal Chamber for me is when I started growling along, realized I could do it. And it was the old, I mean, Loco and all that classic stuff. Yeah, old days now. And then that eventually migrated to listen more of the Death Singers, and then now I think one of the best in the business now, CJ McMahon from Thy Art. I really like his style. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would have to credit Des with the getting me fired up to be a growler.
Right on. Just so you guys know, because of the influences infused, Dez was a big influence on me, but I didn't learn how to sing like him because he was too hard for me to get the range of. But I learned from a black metal guy that was good and a grindcore artist that was good. So you guys know Danny Filth and Kevin Sharp?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I liked
Nice.
Shagrath from Demu too. Liked his style back in the day.
I love doing vocals. I love doing the DJ gig. I eventually hope to get my band back on off an 18-year hiatus. My girlfriend does backing vocals in the band, like Rachel from the band Sinister, who did the 2 albums with them.
Cool.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah. This next one is for you, the vocalist. Please give some vocal tips for starting out vocalists.
Oh, well, yeah, here comes the getting made fun of. Honestly, the most important thing I think is a lot of death growlers and things think that lessons won't help them. Yes, it will. It teaches you how to maintain and take care of your voice. So I took lessons for a long time. The other thing you got to know is it's got to come from underneath. You can't let that pressure, and as a vocalist, you can't let that pressure hang here. It's got to come from the guts. It's got to come from underneath. And when you place it right, and then things will flow better, and you don't have all the abuse on your vocal cords. And that works for death growling or clean singing, whichever you happen to be doing. The same rules apply.
Right on. Just so you know, Chad, I actually learned from a video that's around. Do you know the person, Melissa Cross?
Yep, I remember those. When I was in college, I started checking them out and seeing her instruction, and that's one of the things that inspired me to go ahead and go see a teacher and do it right. Because in the old band, I was doing clean and growls, both. And I had to be able to switch back and forth. In this band, its style changed. Of course, we're not going around down that path anymore, but the same rules apply. I mean, you have to take care of the chords and sing from your ass. Basically, it's the way it feels. You've got to bring it up, and yeah, so
it's a fine line between singing from your ass and out of your ass.
Yeah, or out of your ass, depends on the day, I guess, right? But yeah, it's just
your throat.
You always hear vocal teachers talk about your diaphragm and stuff, and that's where it all starts. It really does. It has to be from there, and that's where the chorus starts. And if you rest too much pressure on your throat, then you won't be able to do night number 2.
Oh,
You'll be you just can't.
Now
so
you're giving lessons. Just go me.
They give me shit about vocals all the time.
That's because he doesn't carry shit.
A sneaky thing I do, you guys, is I'll do it sitting down at times when I'm doing my vocals to get the diaphragm going right. Then I'll stand up. The thing is that I also do is because some of my ranges are so weird and hard to do, I'll give myself a couple weeks off to recover after doing a week or a couple days of practice.
Yeah.
Downtime
is important. Absolutely. Yeah. And someday we're hoping to play every night. Just you got to be in shape. You got to be ready. Yeah. Yep. Not like we can just change strings or grab another pair of sticks, man. That's it. That's all we got. Yeah.
Do you guys know a guitarist / vocalist named Will Romer?
Name rings
not familiar.
No.
Mortician.
Okay. That rings a bell. Yeah.
Know the band.
Will Romer is the bass player / vocalist and mortician.
Nice.
Very cool.
Just so you guys know.
Low.
Oh yeah.
It's not easy to go that low, but if you train yourself right, you can do it.
Yes.
That's why I said the little laryngitis trick, because I'll do that sometimes to get my depth down and then give myself a couple weeks to recover so I don't strain my voice all the time. Change up all these different ranges. And we're going to get on to talking to the bass player next about some tips and advice for starting out bassists.
Well, for me, and, I respect all styles of bassists, but for me, ditching the pick early on was what made a big change for me. Switching from picking like a guitarist, because I started, messing around with 6-string guitar first. When I picked up the first bass, I tried to play it like a guitar. And for me personally, switching over to finger picking was a good move. That'd be my first recommendation, to at least try if you're playing bass.
Any other tips?
Yeah, stretch your fingers. The frets are spread out on a bass.
Yeah, strings are so much heavier.
Cool. Please give some guitar tips or advice for starting out guitarists.
Stretching's important. I didn't realize how important that was until I started jamming with my old friend Sean here.
Yeah. We both used to play similar music like back in the 90s and 2000s, and the picking was not as intense as it is now. And I started pushing it a little bit in the band previous to diesomnia. But yeah, so when he came in that band, as I was starting to push myself, I had already worked that kind of up to it a little bit. He came in cold and found out real quick why, at first I'm sure he was probably looking at me strange while I was doing my stretches before practice, but it didn't take long to realize that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I think, probably the most underestimated thing on guitar players' parts is stretching,
especially the older you get.
Yeah.
Because the older you get, the stiffer your joints get.
And learn to relax and use your wrists. Like when you start tightening up that forearm, man, you're asking for trouble. And it's with, a lot of like the stuff we're playing now, you start cramping up like that, you're not going to make it through. It's going to get sloppy quick. Everything, we're not playing anything super complicated, but for it to be tight, you've got to be loose. You've got to be able to play it right.
Yeah. And some of our riffs, we do some pretty big stretches as far as jumping across the neck. And before I didn't do any stretches, my hand would cramp up, by the time we played our set for the second time in practice. I'd be almost done where I couldn't even hold the chords anymore, but started stretching more. And now it's a lot easier to hit it than it used to be consistently. Because like I said, the older you get, the stiffer you get, and those frets seem to start getting farther and farther apart.
But, yeah, but even more so, like for beginner guitarists, I think
Yeah.
probably one of the most important things I'll say is learn the stuff that you want, like that you like to listen to first. Don't do the old, find the instructor where they insist that you have to learn classical music first, and or Mary Had a Little Lamb or whatever, and learn how to read to be able to play. It's more important, like for the creativity and the excitement you get when you're learning stuff that you're listening to, that you're into. That really can't be replaced by any kind of training. You got to have that to get into it, to want to dive in deeper. Yeah. So my recommendation for like real beginners, people really thinking about starting playing guitar, is go to somebody, or learn for yourself, learn tab and chord diagrams, but go to somebody that will show you what you listen to, not what they think you should know first.
Yeah.
Right on, you guys. And just so you know, I've been into the vocal scene since I was 16. I started 16, running from Broken Hope and Deicide and all those bands.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
Very
so I've
cool.
been doing the vocals approximately 31 years without destroying my talking voice.
Nice, man. Yeah, very good.
So obviously, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, because when I first started playing metal, and I was in Pittsburgh at the time, there was another band we used to play with, and their singer couldn't even talk after the set. And he actually approached me. He was like, "How do you?" And I was like, "Dude, you do not leave it there. You're gonna." He used this spray to numb his voice and stuff, so he didn't. I was like, "You're just destroying yourself, man." Yeah.
I know how that feels. If you don't have the right sound tech, also that can affect how your voice
Well,
plays out on stage as well.
Yeah, when you can't hear yourself up there, there's nothing worse. That I hate it. There were so many nights where I was plugging my ear trying to hear myself in the previous band. So bad. Yeah.
There's a Japanese in these grindcore band I have in my arsenal. I learned from a weird grindcore sheet that I use on stage, but I can't do it outside of the stage because it's so loud. It'll be heard 2 houses down.
Nice.
You guys know of a band called Bathtub Shitter out of Japan?
No, but I'm gonna be checking them out.
They are killer, insane, awesome stuff, man. You guys got to hear. The guy does such a weird high. I don't know how he did it. Then I learned how to do my own style of it. And this is going to make you guys really laugh. I was doing a show in 2006 on 666 night here in my town. And the guy that was the sound tech didn't have the volume level set right. I blew the PA speaker out doing those highs.
Nice.
Oh man,
I don't believe it.
Right in mid set. I heard a
no,
loud
yeah, there's no
honk.
show tonight. They were too metal. Wow,
That's great.
I don't know if I asked you guys this one yet. Please give some advice for starting up bands to help them get their foot in the door for the music gig.
gosh,
Basically, the most important thing is networking with other bands getting started, man.
Yeah.
Just go out there. I've said it in an old ass interview, so if anybody ever finds any old interviews of me, they can fact check this. I remember saying it, but it's important. It should be more. The scene doesn't have to be a competition, man. It should be more like a brotherhood, So, checking out the other bands, hanging out. It's a thing that's almost forgotten nowadays. Is stick around for the other bands, hang out, enjoy the show. Like there's always something, somebody's doing it, that's worthwhile, and it's a lot of fun, man. Like the camaraderie, the brotherhood, hanging around with a bunch of other metalheads, talking about music, drinking beers or whatever. If you don't, just hanging out. It's really important. And then from that stems shows that, you start throwing shows together and you get your foot in doors at venues. Maybe somebody else is playing, you haven't yet. The most important thing is, camaraderie with the other bands.
Yeah. I mean, you want respect, you got to give respect. So
Yeah.
that old adage stands true. I don't care how long people speak the words, it's going to be forever. You want to get respect, you got to give the respect. You want people to stick around and listen to what you have to do on stage, then you got to turn around and do the same thing when you're the first band at 6 o'clock and the last band goes on at midnight. Well, then you should be leaving at 1 o'clock, after they're done.
Yeah.
That way, you show the support, you get the support. That's how it's always been. And you see some of these bands who show up and then take off. And then they wonder why nobody wants to play with them or why they can't play any shows.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you got to give the respect to get it.
There's a reason they call it the metal community.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I've always seen it as a very supportive one. Even outside of music, it just ends up a brotherhood, and I've always loved being a part of it.
Yeah. And don't give up, because it's hard as hell.
It's a lot of work, so be ready to work.
Yeah. Everyone's played a show where 6 to 12 people were watching. I mean, and it sucks when it happens.
Playing for the bartender. Yeah. Lots of
those 6 to 12 people are the people who work there.
Yeah, exactly. We've all been through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work and network and it's like they said, not a competition for sure. I hate when bands get like that and they're worried about who's going after who and things. It's not supposed to be like that.
And on the flip side of that, know your stuff, know your instrument, know what it does, know what you can do on it. Even if you play simple riff, if you play them really good, people will love it. I mean, it's been proven.
Look at Lars
over time. There you go. Yeah.
Guys, there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just so you know, before we get on to the last bit of questions for this interview, I want to really say I am having a blast talking to you guys today.
Cool, thanks, man. Us too. Yeah, this has been fun. Thank you for doing this today.
This next one is going to get you guys real out and thinking a bit at the same time. What could a band do to better promote themselves?
Pay somebody else to do it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no better way. There really isn't.
Yeah, once you get to that point, it really is helpful.
But before you can
PR,
do that,
having good PR people is very, very useful.
Before you do that, you've got to do the footwork. I mean, we did decades of walking the streets, handing out flyers, putting stickers up where stickers don't go.
Yeah. Well, actually, pre-PR for actually self-promotion, go to shows.
Yeah.
That's really the way to do it, man. Go to shows.
Yeah.
Hit every car out in the parking lot with your show's flyer.
Yep. Yeah. Have material to pass out that they can hear. A lot of things like that. And then of course, like we just were talking about, you got to have help anymore. There's just so much on the internet out there now. You can't keep track of it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Just so you guys know, when I do get some business cards, and if you guys are up here in Winnipeg, Manitoba at some point, I'll give you some business cards from our radio show once again printed up so you can hand out some shows when you're on tour. Help me build up my show a bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely.
Exactly. That's how it works. That's great.
This next one's a really good one. How long have the band members all known each other?
Yeah, we saw that one earlier.
Well, the three of us have known each other for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And the youngin, he's not even really the youngin.
Youngest you old farts.
Well, anyways,
How long have we known each other now? Like
16 years.
16 years, yeah. So we've been in bands together for 16 years now. And Chris, I knew first. Tony, we were at a lot of the same stuff. I didn't really know him well back when we were younger or whatever, but we were at a lot of the same shows and things when we were kids.
I met Chris in probably 95 and started playing in a band with him in 05.
Yeah. I met him in 94.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was actually living out of state a lot of the time when these guys were first getting together and stuff. I wasn't back here until about when Tony said when they first formed it up, and I had just moved back here.
Our drummer Kerry, who's not here, I think met him when he was in another band that we did shows with. We've probably known him probably 13 years, I'm guessing, something like that, 12, 13 years.
Yeah, seen him on and off for sure, all those time. Yeah. Yep. Long
And the band
time.
Chris and I were in, played shows with the band.
Yeah.
Chad and Sean were
Yeah.
in back in the day.
Yeah,
so
before Chris came into that band.
part of that metal community.
Yep.
You can write a soap opera for our story.
Yeah.
With diesomnia's new album coming out on June 16th, titled "Pray for the Flood," where can the album be pre-ordered or purchased?
It will be available for pre-order starting next week on Bandcamp. You can pre-save our single, and when it comes closer to time, you'll be able to pre-save our the full album release to your playlists on the streaming services.
Awesome. What social media platforms can the band be reached on?
That's pretty much
The best one would be Facebook, because we're old farts.
Yeah. We have Instagram, Twitter, and all that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
The TikToks and whatnot.
yeah. You can hit us on all of them, but Facebook will get a quicker response.
Yeah, Facebook would probably be the best one, and then we do have Instagram, Twitter, now TikTok. Is there any more? I think
Maybe
there's one more.
YouTube if you want to count
Oh,
that.
YouTube,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah,
YouTube.
If you
YouTube.
want to just hear us, but if you're trying to get a hold of us,
Yeah.
that's probably not the place.
Yeah. Yeah, and the .com, our website ties all those together, has links to everything.
Awesome. That leaves us with 4 more for the interview, and I'll need a couple of station IDs from you guys.
All right.
Cool.
So the fourth last question of the interview is, do you have a YouTube channel? And if so, what is the URL for people to check out your videos on?
What is
Oh
the
shit!
URL?
Yes,
yeah,
we
gotta
do,
pull it
and
up.
I'll get you our name on there. real quick.
Diesomnia metal.
Oh yeah, at diesomnia metal, I believe it is. I will verify that
Yeah.
for sure. I don't want your family clan. Oh, at diesomnia metal 9520.
Oh, it wasn't available. We had to tack on some numbers.
Well, YouTube did it.
No, YouTube did it. All right.
So
So we had no choice in the matter.
yeah.
I'll look up your YouTube channel after we get out of the video interview, guys. And that leaves us with 3 more now. And we are to the station IDs. The third last question of the interview is, what bands would you rank yourselves up there with playing wise for your music?
Oh, wow.
Gosh, that's tough.
I don't know who we're up there with. I know who I'd like to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't whether we're up there or not. You know, I mentioned Fit for an Autopsy earlier on. Love to play with those guys. Just saw them recently in Columbus, Ohio. Outstanding show. Enterprise Earth is one I think everybody likes.
Slaughter to Prevail.
Slaughter Prevail.
Yeah,
We played with
that's a good
before. Would love to do.
Love to play with them
Yeah,
again.
love to do something with them.
Black Dahlia again. Man.
Black Dahlia Murder. Carnifex.
Carnifex,
Yeah.
hell yes,
Thy
Carnifex. Thy Artist Murder, big one for me. Yeah, I want to share the stage with those guys. They been listening to it for a while now. You'll hear a lot of influences on all the bands we just mentioned. You'll hear some influence in our stuff for sure.
That's cool. And you guys mentioned Carnifex. You're going to laugh at this one when I tell you about it. I actually interviewed one of the members of Carnifex for Nuclear Blast Records. I have them as PR for for my show.
Cool.
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Very cool. Yeah, those
That
guys.
leaves us with the second last question of the interview now, which is, what new bands have been jamming on your musical arsenal that influenced your playing abilities?
Pretty much all the ones we just
Yeah.
mentioned, really, for me.
Yeah, it sounded like a record on repeat.
Yeah.
Slaughter to Prevail right now is pretty heavy on my playlist.
Yeah.
One I haven't mentioned yet that probably doesn't sound like it fits with what we play, but August Burns Red, man.
Oh, yeah.
Some of their lead work has definitely directly influenced some of my recent lead work on the album, actually. I won't name it, but people that are fans will hear it. It didn't rip it off, but it was definitely inspired by.
Just put it out
throw it
there.
out
Just put it out there.
'Cause I couldn't play it exactly like him, or I'd have ripped it off. You know?
Yeah. Gosh, I think for me right now, Ingested from England's been on my playlist the most right now. I've been listening to them a lot. I like their style very much.
Discarnate.
Oldest Carnage. Yeah.
Shit.
Shit. How can I forget them? Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Infant Annihilator, although not for the bass necessarily, but just
Yeah.
in general. They're freaking
Overall
great.
talent of those guys is insane. Yeah, for sure.
And before we do the last question, any of you, a couple of influences of mine that get me thinking about folk bands are, and I'm not sure you might have heard of these guys, Evoken, a funeral doom metal act, and Mournful Congregation are two of the ones I learned from for slower funeral doom style vocals.
No.
Cool. I'll check them out.
Mournful Congregation, is that what you said as the
Yeah.
last one?
Mhm.
Ooh, that sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna look them up.
Yeah, for sure.
This last question I leave you is, what new band news do you have on the diesomnia front, as in anything we haven't covered so far in this interview?
Yeah, I think we've covered most of it. The release for the single and for the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have any. We've got a few things in the works, but nothing we're ready to announce yet. Basically working on
We're working
upcoming
on
tour.
Yeah, an upcoming tour. We're also working on an album release show.
Yeah.
But follow us on Facebook for more information on that, because that's just in the beginning stages right now.
Right.
And write new music, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We've already started putting together new tunes.
Yeah, we just played our first show back at 4 years. We're getting ready to do our release, and we already first show out broke out the song we just wrote.
Yep.
Title,
Not even on the album.
Currently
Honestly,
untitled.
We love doing that.
We played a couple songs at that show that we've never played live before.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because of COVID.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah. Even though those songs may have been initially written in 2019, that was the first time, or
Some of them.
2020.
Some of them.
2020, that was the first time that they've actually been performed. So yeah, it's unfortunately for us, it was a long crawl, and now we're finally back on the horse again, getting going.
Ready to whip it.
Yeah.
Right on.
We don't want to
And now leaves us with the station IDs, which is, and I'll use Chad as the example, the vocalist. Am I right? Your name's Chad?
Yep.
Okay, just checking before I do the station ID. The first one is, and I'll start with you, Chad. Then the other guys will follow. It's, hey, this is Chad of diesomnia, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio. And the other guys will follow you up afterwards.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Chad. Oh, sorry. All right, man. Hey, this is Chad from Diesomnia, and you're listening to Mangled Music. I'm sorry, what was that again?
Mangled Music Radio.
Okay,
Station
thank you.
Mangled
One more time.
Music Radio.
Mangled Music Radio.
do it
Okay.
as a vocalist. This is say his name in your vocalist voice.
Whenever you guys are ready.
Please
Okay.
do that.
All right. This is Chad with Diesomnia, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Hey, this is Tony from Diesomnia. And you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
This is Chris from Diesomnia. You're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Hey, this is Sean from Diesomnia. You're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
And the last one is for my personal show, Craig's Metal Storm.
Craig's Metal Storm. All right.
Okay. And say what are you saying?
Craig's Metal Storm.
Craig's Metal Storm. Okay. Hey, this is Chad with Diesomnia, and you're listening to Craig's Metal Storm.
It's Tony from Diesomnia. You're listening to Craig's Metal Storm.
This is Chris from Diesomnia, and you're listening to Craig's Metal Storm.
Hey, this is Sean from Diesomnia. You're listening to Craig's Metal Storm.
Cool. Thank you guys very much for the time. Thank you very much for the interview. I'm going to get the recorder stopped now.